that straight? Swear. Oh my god. Okay, this floor is so uneven. Hello, and welcome back to part 3 of the Publishing Diaries. What you will have just seen was a little bit of footage from yesterday. I cut everything up, I laid it all out, and I was really working on reordering and chronology. I could not keep myself from doing a little bit of line editing, so like there are a few marks on the pages, or on the like strips of paper, I guess, because they're not really pages anymore. But I really tried to hold back on that front, which is something that's really hard for me. I think I get like very into like the nitty-gritty of like the language and wanting to be really perfect on that level, and I find it a lot harder to figure out how the whole thing hangs together as a complete entity. Then what you didn't see, what I completely forgot to film, was me working on other things, like kind of logistical things for my submissions this week. So I wrote my bio, I worked on cover letters for the 5 publications that I'm submitting to. Initially had 6, but it turned out one of the publications that was in round 1, actually their submissions open on March 1st, so I can't submit yet. So I had to move that one later, but I now still have 5 to submit to in the next couple days. It's now the 11th, so I'm hoping to submit everything on the 14th, a day before the deadline. So since then, I have been working on transcribing the order that I laid out here to the document and reading through it as a whole again. That's what I just did. And I kind of am still not sure about the order. That's the hardest part for me because my mind really likes to work chronologically. A lot of this piece is based around memory, so like in my brain, it's very much like A, B, C, D, etc. Whereas in the piece, I'm trying to make it a little bit more abstract and fragmentary, which is something that is not at all natural for me. That's what I've just been doing. I'm kind of wondering, I had somebody who's helping me edit this piece like before I turned in the final draft for my class in December. And I might reach out to her and ask if she wants to take a look at it, because she had some really good advice when it came to kind of the order of the piece. And it can be nice to have some outside eyes, especially since I've been staring at it for a long time now. But I'm also not sure, like, I think I can probably figure it out. And that's also something I always go to when I'm feeling like nervous and stressed, is like, somebody else look at it and like tell me what to do. But I think I also need to like take the responsibility and trust myself when it comes to the order that works best and the order that will serve the piece. It is now 12:45 p.m. and it's, what day of the week is it? It's Thursday, which I don't know if I said that. But yeah, in about 15 minutes I have a meeting with my professor about the Milkman essay, so I will have some follow-up about that, hopefully. I'm hoping she has some advice and some thoughts on publications that I might submit to, and hopefully some good feedback for the paper as a whole and how I should go about revising. I'm excited to hear what she has to say. I'm also just like excited to see her because it's been a while. I haven't seen her on Google Meet since kind of mid-December, so I'm looking forward to that. And yeah, I will have more updates hopefully for you a little bit later on. There's also just one other thing that I wanted to talk about briefly. You've probably noticed that I've been taking a lot of breaks when working on this piece, and I'll kind of go in and like edit and then take a break and come back. And I do that both because I think it helps you have kind of a fresher sense of what's on the page, especially when you're writing about things that are really personal. Especially when you're writing, you know, nonfiction. These things really happened and it can be kind of a lot to deal with. So I think like having that space helps kind of recreate the distance between you and the work, and helps you kind of see things you might not otherwise see if you were just spending several hours at a time, you know, like really deep into it. And I do think in some cases, at some stages in the writing process, I was working on this really intensely and just writing and writing and writing for like several hours at a time. But I think it's kind of something that you have to parse and gauge. Is this a moment where I need to be kind of fully in the piece and giving it my everything for, you know, as long as it takes you to get into a flow state? Or especially when you get to the editing process, is it a time where you need to kind of be taking yourself out of it a little bit more, and kind of trying to be a little bit more objective? The second piece of that, I think, is that This piece deals with a lot of really dark stuff, for lack of a better way to put it. It deals with a lot of really dark events that happened in my life, and some really like difficult parts of my life. So I think just to like take care of my mental health and to make sure that, you know, I'm taking care of myself in the best way that I can, I think those breaks are also necessary in that way. I'm just realizing that like my hair, like what is my hair doing today? We don't know. Who's this? I don't know her, but we're just gonna go with it. This is the OG sweater, because I think I wore this for my first video, for my New Year's resolution, so that's exciting. I don't really have anything else to say right now, so I'm gonna go chill for a bit. I have 10 minutes till my meeting, and once I'm done with that, I will come back and why am I burping so much? I will come back and check in with you again later. Okay. This is so ridiculous. I like can't stop smiling. Anyway, so I just got out of my meeting with my professor. I don't know how people feel about sharing grades online. Personally, I think it's kind of like your prerogative. Like if you want to, you should, and if you don't want to, you shouldn't. Also, I recognize that I have often derived a lot of my self-worth from grades, and I don't think that's a good thing, and I don't think it's a healthy thing to do to a certain degree. But at the same time, I feel like you should be proud of your accomplishments, and I don't think you should hold back, like in the interest of making yourself smaller or being like, oh, like it's nothing, like I just did well, but it's not like not being proud of yourself for that. The reason I'm smiling so much is that I got my grades from her, and I don't know if I'm going to share them on here or not. I guess I'm just like really happy and proud that I was able to do a project that I was super passionate about and that I felt super excited to be doing. And yeah, just like I was super happy to do it, and I really enjoyed the research process, and I really enjoyed writing the paper. Like, don't get me wrong, of course there were hard moments, and of course like it didn't just all come together super easily. Parts of it were really like pulling teeth. So for that reason, this grade and the fact that she had so many good things to say about it really mean a lot to me. And also, like, as a professor, I just look up to her a lot. The fact that she saw something in my work and had so many good things to say about it was super helpful. Also, at the end of our conversation, she was like, I know you have a lot going on this semester, but if you decide to, you know, pursue publication for this paper and you want to talk to me about places to submit and all that kind of thing, feel free. So she brought it up so I didn't have to, which was great, because I was like, I was already thinking of that. That's awesome. So she had some great advice about that and about places to submit. She also suggested a few databases where I might look for publications, and also the difference between, you know, submitting to an undergrad publication versus a professional level one. And the fact that I probably need to expand my paper a little bit if I want to submit to professional publications, since they usually are like 7,000 to 10,000 words. My paper's around 17 pages, double-spaced. I'm not sure how many words that is. But yeah, so that's what we talked about. I'm like on a little bit of a high from that right now, so I'm gonna go probably eat some lunch and take a walk and enjoy the happiness and the fruits of my labor, so to speak. But yeah, once I'm done with that, I will get back to CNF land, and I'm really going to be focusing on that for the rest of this week. And then I'll probably start getting into the Milkman side of things next week after I've submitted to my first round for nonfiction. So I'll kind of be toggling back and forth between the two, if that makes sense. I don't know when deadlines are for academic journals and places like that, since I haven't done obviously any research on that front really yet. Yeah, that's what's going on. I'm going to go eat some lunch and take a walk and enjoy the sunshine and this lovely mood that I have now been put in. I guess this is your reminder: work hard, do stuff that you're passionate about, and hopefully it pays off. But also, your grades do not represent your self-worth, and remember that you are more than your academic self, you're more than your academic life. But on the flip side, it's okay to be happy about things, and it's okay to celebrate them when they do happen. So yeah, I just thought I'd share that, and I will check back in with you soon. Welcome back to the vlog. I don't know what that was, but I have a little update for you. So it's Friday, just about 2:15, and I got in touch with my editing friend. It sounds so sketchy, but I don't want to say her name in case she doesn't want this like publicized. But I got in touch with her yesterday, and she responded this morning and was like, yeah, I'd love to take a look. So I am about to send that off to her. I think I'm gonna just read it through one more time. Last night I read it through and like reordered a couple sections, so I'm just gonna give it a final read, send it off to her. And then once she gets me comments, which I've asked her to do by like probably this weekend, like Saturday or Sunday would be great, so I can submit it on Sunday or Monday. She will send those to me, I will look at them and edit accordingly. I'm assuming that these last couple of days I'm not going to be making like any major edits, and I think I had to like stop myself a little bit last night. Some of it feels like really stale to me, I think, at this point, just because I've been working on it for so long. So it's really easy for me to be like, actually, I think none of these sections work, and actually I should just start from scratch. But I'm not gonna do that. I'm resisting that urge. And yeah, so I'm taking today kind of off, aside from this final read through, to kind of get my brain out of that space and take some time away, and then whenever she gets comments back to me, I'll look at it, and I will hopefully have a final draft Saturday or Sunday, and then, as I said, submit Sunday or Monday. I'm looking forward to hearing what she has to say about it. She's had some really good feedback from me in the past. I think she really understands the piece and what I'm trying to do, and yeah, I'm excited to hear what she has to say about it in this new form, because it has shifted a fair amount from the last time she saw it. So yeah, that's what's up. I'm going to go send that draft now, and I will check in with you probably again in a couple days. Once I have comments, then we will be submitting. So yeah, I hope you all are having a great day, and I will check in with you again soon. Jeez, that was loud. Okay. Today is Monday, February 15th. That means that it is deadline day. Yee. Today is the day that I am submitting to my first round. There are 5 on that list. There were 6, but there was a date snafu, so it's just 5 for now. Yeah, I'm both excited and nervous. I sent my draft off to my editing friend the other day. I think it was about 2 days ago now. And she got back to me, and she basically said no notes, which was both relieving because it meant that there were no like glaring things that I should be aware of, but also a little bit slightly terrifying, because if I have no feedback, I'm kind of just left with all of the responsibility on me to make the final decisions, and it means I have to trust myself a lot, which, you know, I've never been very good at. I mainly asked her about the order of the piece, so I had been reshuffling some sections and I cut some sections, and I was like, I've been looking at this for so long, I don't even know like what it is anymore, so I would really appreciate some input. She said something about like the form being fine, and then she was like, well, I don't really have anything else to say, like, am I crazy, am I missing something? And I was like, I don't know, I don't think so. So yeah, that's that. So I basically don't have any more feedback to go on, which is probably both a blessing and a curse in some ways. What I'm about to do is go through my piece for a final time. I'm going to print it out, read it through, like, as I assume people accepting the submissions will be reading it through, and make sure there aren't any final changes I want to make. And then I have to make like all the different versions. So some publications want it single-spaced, some want it double-spaced, some want it paginated, some want it in a JPEG, or not a JPEG, in a PDF or a docx file, or like there are any number of different kind of formatting choices. So I'm going to go through and make all those versions, and then I'm going to start sending it out. So yeah, that's what we're doing. That's today. Yeah, I guess I will check in with you in a little bit. Yeah. One thing I forgot to mention is that I think we're supposed to get some snow later today, like this afternoon, and then it's supposed to continue like through the evening and into tomorrow. Sorry, printer noises. So for that reason, I'm trying to at least get the first publication submission in like before the afternoon, because that's the one that has today's deadline. And in case the power goes out, like I want to make sure I have that in. The others I would also like to submit today, just so that I'm on like a deadline for myself, even if they haven't given me one, because I think that is better than just kind of freewheeling and being like, oh, I'll submit it eventually, because I know myself, and if I say that, like, it's not gonna happen. Like, I'm just gonna keep editing and keep changing things until, you know, the 11th hour. Yeah, I'm going to read through this and hopefully not be too nitpicky, because, you know, it is what it is at this point, and I think at a certain point you can start to over-edit and you can start to just not trust what you have, and I'm definitely, like, way past that point. Like, there are some sections in here that I've been looking at for, you know, going on 6 months now, so parts of it are going to feel stale to me, and I have to continually try and create that space and think, if somebody who was not me, who had not experienced these things, and who didn't even know who I was, who was reading the submission blind, if I'm just looking at the writing and I'm trying to take myself out of it, and I'm trying to just be kind of that, like, outer presence somewhere, like, over here that isn't even aware of kind of all the background and editing and all the, like, extra stuff that's in here. If I was that person, how would I be reading this? What would I see? On this last read, I'm really gonna try and recreate that distance and look at it as objectively as I can, which it's not an easy task, and I'm definitely not great at it. I do have a pen here, like, just in case, but I'm hoping that I don't use it, and I'm hoping that I can just trust what it is now, because, you know, you can continue editing something until, like, it can just continue. Like, writing is that kind of process where you have to decide when it's done, and I think that's been one of my biggest issues. I think that's why I haven't submitted anything so far, is that I can always convince myself that, you know, it isn't where it needs to be, or it could be kind of evolved into this whole other piece, or it could be something so much better. If you're continually doing that, like, yes, it's good to have a progress mindset. Yes, it's good to be someone who comes back to your old writing and re-edits it and reimagines it into something new. But on the flip side, like, it's important to know when to walk away, when to be like, I've worked on this long enough, and this is what it's gonna be. This is what it needs to be. This is what it wants to be as a piece of writing. And to just, like, let go. So that's what I'm gonna try and do. Not that that's natural for me or easy, but that's the goal. And yeah, I will check back in with you later, I guess, when I'm done reading, and hopefully start submitting. just started snowing. I'm done with those first 5 submissions. I just finished my last one. All told, it took approximately an hour, and I definitely checked over everything like approximately 10 times to make sure formatting was what it needed to be, and I had the cover letter and the bio, and all of the stuff was correct for each one. So yeah, I guess now we wait. I'm slightly nervous, but overall I'm like happy to put this aside for a little while and no longer have it occupy so much mental space. And I feel like now I can kind of let go and like I've done everything I need to do. In my final read through of my essay or piece or whatever you want to call it, I didn't really find anything. I found like one phrasing thing that I altered slightly. And other than that, I was just like, you know what, this is fine. We're just gonna leave this. Because I think I mentioned this before, but I can get very tied down in like the tiny little details. And at a certain point, like those things I don't think are going to be, like yes, line editing is important, and yes, like you should care about the language you use, that definitely matters, but you know, one extra the or one and isn't necessarily going to be the difference between being accepted and being rejected. Obviously, I haven't done this before, so it's a little bit weird for me to be like, this is what decides X, Y, or Z. But I think on the whole, your work should speak beyond the level of this word choice or that. Like, of course, good writing has strong word choice, but it's about more than that, and it's important to like be able to pull yourself out of that like micro focus when you can. I'm gonna put you down. So yeah, I guess this is gonna be the cutoff for a little while. At some point I'm going to go back to my thesis and start revising that and looking at publication options that exist for, you know, academic journals, and I'll start that whole research process and figure out deadlines and stuff like that. Hopefully I'll have like a little bit of a break before I jump into that. But yeah, I think that's where I'll leave it for now. I'm not sure when the next part of this series will be released because I'm not yet sure when I'll hear back from these places. One of them, as I said in the past video, claims a 30-day turnaround time, so I'm assuming that's the first one I'll be hearing back about, and I will definitely let you know whether it's a rejection or an acceptance. Other than that, I hope you're doing well. I hope the series has been fun so far, and if you are working on something or if you like needed a push, to just go for it. I was watching a video today by Ali Abdul. I don't know if any of you watch him. If you don't, he's more on the kind of like productivity side of YouTube. I will watch his videos occasionally, and this morning I was watching one where he talks about Tim Ferriss's book, The 4-Hour Workweek, which kind of talks about how to, you know, revitalize your life and become a part of the new rich who, you know, kind of earn passive income and are in this very digital space, and like that's not necessarily something that I want to do, but I do find it interesting to learn about. And one of the things he said in that video, he was talking about how much he's learned from this book, and I will link the video in the description for those of you who haven't seen it. One of the things he talks about is this idea of it never being like the right time. The idea that when we're afraid of doing things, we often use this excuse that's basically like, oh, like now isn't the right time, it isn't the perfect time for me to be doing this. Like if you're starting a YouTube channel, I could very easily say, you know, oh, I don't have a camera, I don't have all this equipment, my lighting isn't great. Like there's so many things that you can blame for not going for the things that you're interested in and not doing, I guess, like just not going for it, like in a larger sense. Like that's the whole idea. What he was saying is basically that this book really pushed him beyond that mindset, and the fact that like there isn't a perfect time. Like there's never going to be that moment where you wake up and say, oh yes, like this is the day for me to take a huge risk and make myself uncomfortable and lean into change. Like very few people are going to have that mindset. So you should go for the things when you think of them. If there's something that you want to accomplish, say there's a goal you have, a professional goal, a life goal, like what's one thing that you can do today or right now to move yourself in the direction of that goal?
one thing he talked about is that like one of his New Year's resolutions for this year is to get really good at concept art so he can illustrate these scenes from like fantasy books that he's really interested in. And so on the day he set that goal, he looked up art classes. He looked into how he could use like, his iPad and how he could kind of already get that rolling, as opposed to being like, this is my huge lofty goal and I have no idea how I'm going to get there. I think that's also a really great way to break something down into actionable steps. And if this series has taught me anything, it's that like videoing yourself and like recording yourself saying you're gonna do something is a great way to have accountability, because I can look back and be like, oh, I said I was gonna edit this, or like I need a time lapse for this video, so like I have to do that work. I can't just push it off and ignore it. So I think that's been something that I've really enjoyed as part of this series, is that I think it's pushed me to like continue working. And while I have like taken breaks and taken pauses, I think knowing that I was making this series and knowing that I like made this promise to myself that this was something I was gonna do, especially since in the past I've always said, you know, sharing my work is hard and it's something that I don't do. Like very few people read my creative work. It takes a lot for me to share my work with people, so like submitting to a bunch of places, well, it's not as, you know, terrifying as maybe like giving it to my friends to read or things like that. I think it is like pushing myself outside of my comfort zone in a real way. So having this series and having an outlet or an inlet, I suppose, to taking a step, even if it's something small, even if it's just, you know, showing someone my work or talking to someone about my work, that I wouldn't have done a few years ago or a few months ago. I think of that as progress, and yeah, I'm really, I guess I'm just really glad that I did this, and even if I get rejected from all 5 off the bat, like that's a very real possibility, but I'm still glad that at the end of the day I submitted, I said what I was going to do, and if none of those places want my work, then I'll just keep submitting. Failure is a fact of life. If you don't go out for things, if you don't push yourself to apply for new opportunities or submit to competitions or do whatever it is you want to do, like the people who have no rejection letters don't have no rejection letters because they've gotten everything they wanted. They have no rejection letters because they didn't apply for everything they wanted. We talk a lot about how failure teaches us things and how looking back on your life, are you going to say, oh, I'm so sad that I didn't get that opportunity, or are you going to be glad that you at least put in the effort to try and go for it? I don't know how this section of the video got into like a motivational speech, but yeah, it's like, it's kind of corny, but I think it's also true that like, if you don't push yourself and if you don't fail and if you don't aim for success and totally miss it, you're never going to get to the place you want to be. You're never going to get more than average. You're never going to take up more space. So yeah, I guess that's all I have to say really for now. I will let you know when I have an update on those publications. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye.